Hello, I'm back. My name is Alex Ayon, and I'm going to give a very brief talk on how to get started with Angular. And by brief, I mean really brief. um, yeah. So, what is Angular? Angular is a framework, and what is a web framework? And what is a web framework? A framework provides a standard way to build an application, whether that be a web page, an API, or something else. It supports you in the development of the application by giving you certain conventions and best practices that the community has determined for that framework. It automates a lot of overhead, so it creates a lot of boilerplate code for you, so you don't have to type it yourself. And it also gives you access to various modules, so you don't have to code a bunch of things that have already been done by other people. And it allows you to reuse code, not only your own, but other people's code. So the things you'll need to get started with Angular is, for sure, an internet connection. I found out this the hard way. I currently don't have internet at home. I'm using my mobile phone as a hotspot, and it's actually really slow. And so get that internet. You'll need Node.js, either version 8.x or 10.x, and the Node package manager, NPM. That comes automatically when you download Node.js and install it on your computer. You will also need the Angular CLI. And you can install that by executing the command npm install -g at angular/CLI. And the -g in this command says that you are going to install Angular globally, so you'll be able to use it in any folder. So the Angular CLI provides you with the application shell. It can generate components for you, and it also provides a local server. So if you make any changes, you can see those changes happening in real time. So to start a new project, you execute the command ng-new at the folder you want to save this project, and that'll generate a project with whatever name you give it. It'll import the necessary node modules, and if you wanted to serve this project, you could always execute the command ng-serve at the port you specify. And if you wanted to add components, you can do that as well. That command is ng-generate components, and then you give it a component name. You can shorten that to ng-gc component name. It'll generate all the necessary files for your component. These files include CSS, HTML, and the core TypeScript files. And it'll also automatically declare that component in your module. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys what that looks like. If we open up a project in VS Code, you'll see that when I generated this project, it created a bunch of files. One of those folders is app, and inside this app is where most of my files are. When I did ng-gc heroes, it created a whole folder with a bunch of components inside of it. And you have your TypeScript file, your HTML file, which is like a template, and your CSS for that component. When you serve that file, it looks like this. Angular comes with a few things called directives, which allow you to manipulate the DOM, the document object model. Two of those directives I'll name briefly are ng-if. So if something exists, a Boolean value exists in your heroes component TypeScript file, it will render everything inside of that HTML component. And then there's another directive called ng-for, which will allow you to iterate through lists and keep generating that HTML component and filleting with the information. So when we go to this web page, we see the list generated. I promised it was going to be brief. And so one reason why you might use Angular is to modularize your web page. So every box here could be a component, and each component could have its own CSS, so it could render differently. And some resources you could use is obviously the Angular tutorial is an amazing resource. There is a course that I'm actually using currently. It does cost money. It's at Udemy, called Angular 7. And if you wanted some free resources, you could also go to edx.org. They have 2 courses by Microsoft. They're both free, and with an option to pay for a certificate. Thanks.